This clip is proudly powered by PartsView.com. They are marine parts and outboard superstore. They have 20, 100, and 300-hour maintenance kits for Yamaha, Mercury, Suzuki outboards, as well as Mercruiser. You can get a discount using the link in the descriptions below. Dean says, I have a 1989 Johnson 28 SPL that, as far as my knowledge, has only been ran in fresh water. Would there be a need to flush a freshwater motor? Yes. So just because you have fresh water doesn't mean that there isn't minerals and stuff in the water. You can still have, point in case, the problem of the contamination between the different lakes, whatever, I can't remember the exact name of the species or the mussels or whatever it is that are getting transferred from one lake to another lake that is eating away the ecosystems of one lake. I can't think of that off the top of my head, but for that reason, you should be flushing it, because if you're running in water, let's say it's brackish freshwater, or let's say it's just water that has a lot of minerals in it. So you're going to get buildup in your engine no matter what the water you're running in, because water has minerals, and those minerals, depending on where you're at, that creates buildup, whether that be algae, whether that be, whatever it may be, you're going to get buildup of those mineral deposits. So flushing your freshwater ran engine is a good thing depending on the engine or the water that you're running in. If you're running on a clean lake with fresh water, then you're not really going to be doing much as far as flushing it. So in those situations, no, you're probably not going to do much. If you're running in water that has a lot of minerals and stuff like that, then yes, you will be doing something with flushing it. My experience, by and large, most people running in freshwater lakes, stuff like that, they don't flush their engines and they have no problems, and they are running engines that are 40, 50 years old. So per the evidence, not really. You probably don't need to, but there are situations where you could. So I would say some situations, yes. Other situations, you're probably not doing all that much. And no, I'm sure there are people out there. For one, you're running a 1989 28 SPL, and you're talking almost 24 on 11. You're talking a 35-year-old engine, so obviously there's no problems yet. Kelly Moore, white shoe polish will fix it right up. Someone else also mentioned SEM. We're talking about the upholstery and fixing old upholstery. This is a great option. I did not even think about that, getting some white shoe polish. I'm actually going to do that. So that is going to be one of the things that I want to do. Is I think I'm going to try that SEM paint too, just so I can have both of them. But awesome advice. White shoe polish, or whatever kind of polish that, whatever color your cushion is, that's a really good tip. Thank you, Kelly Moore. And also the person that said the SEM paint, or the something color, duplicolor upholstery paint. I've never tried any of that stuff, so I'd really appreciate everybody giving those comments. And that is definitely something that we need to try when it comes to the upholstery on that 17, and seeing if we can, bring that back to life and how long it's going to last with that paint. Brindy C says, I recently sprayed my cushions with the Duplicolor. That's what I was just thinking about. The vinyl spray paint, cleaned them really well beforehand and scuffed them lightly with 220. Cleaned again with acetone, and then did multiple light coats. They look great, and it has probably been 6 months so far, and they're holding up well. So boom, that's exactly what I was talking about. The Duplicolor. I want to try all three. I want to do this. I want to do this, the SEM paint. I want to do the Duplicolor. I want to do the shoe polish. That way we can have an actual comparison on all three of them. I think that would be a great video. And I mean, it probably wouldn't do that well as far as views, but as far as research and giving people a visual display or experiment or example, I think that would do really well. So thank you, Brindy C. You're the one that said the Duplicolor. I'm going to try and do all three of those and see what it really looks like in the end between the three different ones. I think there's also a couple other ones that I have to try. So I'm going to need some more cushions, I guess. Anthony says, hey, Aaron, need video on how to diagnose, how to repair, how to replace trim tab pump. I diagnosed it and have power at harness, power to solenoids, but nothing happening. So As far as, yeah, so Anthony, we do actually have this type of content in the program. So if you join the Boaters program, we do have these types of videos. They are not really that well performing when it comes to YouTube. So a lot of times some of the really base how-to videos we've made in the program. So if you join the program in all the courses, there's a lot of videos. Actually, there's over 100 some videos in there of this exact type of situation, running through all the circuits and all that. They kind of show this stuff, but the how-to videos, I mean, a lot of them, they do well on YouTube, but as YouTube has changed the algorithm, they don't do that well anymore. When it comes to the trim tab pump, though, yes. So depending on what the pump was that was in there and what pump you put in there after you changed it, they might have different control wires. So the wire colors could have changed. The way the setup might be could have changed. The way the circuitry is ran on the pump could have changed. But in general, it's all the same. You're controlling a relay that controls high voltage. You're running a hydraulic pump that requires a lot of amperage, so that uses, high amp power, or let's say high power, to control the pump. But you control that high power using a relay, and the relay uses, low power coming from a button to control the solenoid. The button activates the solenoids. The solenoids then allow the power to flow from one solenoid to the other solenoid to move the pump in one direction or the other direction, because it's a hydraulic pump, and hydraulics is just moving fluid going this way or going this way. That's all it is. Hydraulic steering, you're going this way or you're going this way. Hydraulic trim pump, you're going this way or you're going this way. And then trim tab pumps, it's a hydraulic pump, you're either going this way or you're going this way. The way that flows is basically the way the pump is, running in reverse or running in forward, done by the voltage using the solenoids. So the solenoids are working together. Power goes in one and it uses the other as the ground to go in one direction, or it reverses, power going into one and using the other one as the ground. So that way it can go in both directions using that high power going to it. The way those solenoids are rigged up is how that works. So the power going to the solenoid for the control, one's going to control one relay and the other relay. So when you go up, it switches those relays depending on, which direction you're pushing the button. The wire colors are going to change depending on the brand and depending on who wired it up in the beginning, as well as the boat manufacturer, because, there are all kinds of different variables. Is there a tower on the boat? Is there two different stations? What kind of pump is it using? Are there buttons? Are there rocker switches? Is it a control pad? I mean, there's a lot of different brands and different styles and different manufacturers. They will wire it up the way that they want it to work on their boat based on, whatever brand. This brand boat has trim tab buttons at the upper station and at the lower station, and they use a duplex to get the wires to the upper station, and it's just using a junction bar in order to connect those, and from the junction bar it goes back to the trim pump. So there are a lot of variables in there in order to make a video like that. It's more about the brand and the type of pump, but they're the same. The pump functions the same regardless of the wire colors. It's just the way that the relays are set up. And so you're going to have to just pull out the manual for whichever brand that you got in order to see how it uses those relays, because some relays are like this, some relays are like this, some have breaker blocks that go back and forth. So it's pretty much the same system, but set up in a different way based on the manufacturer. Now, if you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full episode over here, or you can watch another one over here.